Hey, by the way, this is the stuff that's important. This right here is important. All this stuff where coaches give you 2, 3, 4, 5 basketballs to dribble, nonsense. If you want to score, this is how you score, moving off the ball. You got to understand how to move the defense away, how to set them up on screens. You're not going to get in the game and dribble the ball a million times, right? So if you guys sitting here, you guys really got to be paying attention to this stuff, because this is how you get buckets. Understand? All right.
We'll start that again, right?
Started to talk to him a lot, got a lot of advice from him.
What's the best advice you got from him?
You know, just stay in it. Enjoy the challenge. Don't get down and just compete, really. And I think my first All-Star game, we were talking, and then he was competitive. He was like, how many shots you shot in the game? I was like, what you mean? And I'm like, how many shots attempts have you shot? I'm like, my highest? He was like, yeah. I was like, I probably shot about like 19 times. Then he goes like, guess how many times I shot it? I'm like, how much? Like, I shot it 47 times. I was like, all right.
Everybody wants to be the beast, but not everybody wants to do what the beast do. You heard that one before.
Oh yeah.
So, but and that's the challenge. But that's what I love about the process of being a coach.
I mean, with my kids, we talk a lot about just teaching excellence, because it translates, right? Whether it's football, basketball, or baseball, whatever it is. Once you learn what excellence looks like, you could translate that into any field. Right? It's basketball, you translate it into writing, or whatever the case may be. Once you have what that excellence looks like and what that detail and attention to detail looks like, then you have a foundation that you can build anything on top of. Yeah.
We are sort of oriented toward helping people be successful and making the choices and decisions to be successful. And they say, well, if you go there, you won't have any fun.
I gotta laugh. That's funny. That's so funny. That's such a like an average thing to say. Like I just don't. What the hell does that even mean? Have fun. All right.
The fun of it is knowing you did your best to do something very well.
Right.
I mean, that's the fun of it.
Right.
So 2008 Olympics was right after he and the Lakers got beat by the Celtics. So that was like, he was like fresh off of that, and it was like, you could tell. And so one night we were just like playing cards, hanging out, drinking some wine, just kicking it, and he like saw this newspaper, and he saw a picture. It was like something about the Lakers series and blah, blah, blah. And it was a picture of Paul Pierce like celebrating. And he literally he didn't say a word. He didn't say anything, but we saw him like take the paper. He started cutting out the Paul Pierce picture. He like folded it up and he put it in his pocket, and he was like, motivation. And we were like, oh, it never stops with him. You could just tell, like it never stops.
You studied Bruce Lee's Jeet Kune Do. You took tap dancing lessons. You studied sharks and cheetahs and how they hunt their prey, and applied those things to basketball. What are some other unique or unconventional things that you've studied or tried as you tried to hone your craft?
Well, I called John Williams in 2008 and talked to John Williams about how he conducts his orchestras. And, cause if you think about it, it's such a difficult thing to do. You have so many instruments, you have the different sections, you have the winds, you have percussion, right? You have the horns, and all sorts of stuff. And, he has to lead that to be able to create one harmonious sound. So how do you do that? So I sat down with him just to pick his brain a little bit. Because I felt like there was a lot of similarities between what he does and what I have to do on the basketball court. And what he said to me was fascinating. He says, Kobe, if I hear something is off, I can just interject the answer and give them the answer. But I found it's better to ask them questions, because most of the time the answer that I'll get back will be a better answer than the one I had. And that really helped me from a leadership standpoint of how I handled the guys going forward. And this is coming off of our loss to the Celtics. And so I changed my approach coming into training camp the next season, just off of how John Williams conducts his orchestras.
I wanted to ask him the most that I struggle with was, making shots. Everybody can make shots when you're having a great night, but what gives you the audacity to keep shooting when you're missing? Right, that's what I just wanted to ask Kobe, because there would be nights where I most respected him going 6 for 21 and then hitting the game winner.
Right.
And he said, I've practiced that shot too much not to make the next one. And that stuck with me. I mean, every drill, it was perfection.
Well, you got to tell the story about what he said to you when he saw you and he pointed to his daughter.
Oh, yeah. We were in Beijing. GiGi was 2 at the time. And I walk in, you know, my mom's with me, and I'm like, hey, this is my mom. Kobe's like, hey, this is my wife. These are my 2 daughters. And he looks at me, he's like, she's going to beat all your records one day. GiGi was 2 years old, didn't even pick up the basketball yet. But that's who Kobe was, and she inherited that on us.
I'm so sorry I can't be with you tonight. However, I couldn't completely miss the chance to take a moment to share some thoughts with all of you. The lesson I cherish the most is how important it is to love what you do. If you love what you do and it's making you happy, all the hard work and perseverance will pay off. I once had a guidance counselor tell me that I shouldn't play basketball, that it would never amount to anything for me. His negativity towards me made me stronger. You can't stop people from trying to limit your dreams, but you can stop it from becoming a reality. Your dreams are up to you. I encourage you to always be curious, always seek out things you love, and always work hard once you find it. So with that, I'll let you carry on with your evening. Please know I'm thinking of you, supporting you, and encouraging you always. Peace.
As a player, individually, you have to have a certain obsession about winning and understanding that, there's no in between. There's no middle ground. Right? There's winning a Super Bowl, and then there's failure. There's no, oh my God, we're so happy to get there sort of thing. That's not what it's about. So having that understanding is first and foremost, because then that trickles down to the rest of the guys on the roster. That trickles up to management, right? That trickles over to the trainers, and understanding that just getting there is not enough. We're obsessive about winning the whole thing. And then also you have to have some fortune, right? And being in a situation where you have a head coach that has the same level of obsession, right? And then you move up to management and ownership that understands how important it is to establish a culture of winning and how to cultivate that. So you kind of got to have, a myriad of things work in your favor, but you got to start with the athlete and having that mindset.
Is to try to be the best basketball player you can be. You want to train as much as you can, as often as you can. Imagine you wake up at 3, you train at 4, 4 to 6, come home, breakfast, relax. Now you're back at it again, 9 to 11, right? You relax, and now all of a sudden you're back at it again, 2 to 4, and now you're back at it again, 7 to 9. Look how much more training I have done by simply starting at 4. So now you do that, and as the years go on, the separation that you have with your competitors and your peers just grows larger and larger and larger and larger and larger. By year 5 or 6, doesn't matter what kind of work they do in the summer, they're never going to catch up. So to me, it was just common sense. I'm like thinking, how can I get an advantage? Oh, start early.
After watching that film, I come to understand if I could work that hard every day, with being blessed with the physical tools that I have, what would my career be? And I made a promise to myself from that day that I was going to work that hard every single day, so that when I do retire, I have no regrets. And that was the most important thing for me, is to leave no stone unturned, get better every single day. And if I lived that way, then over time, I'd have something that was beautiful. But that was my philosophy. It seems like a pretty simple one, but if you live your life to just get better every single day and do that for 20 years, what do you have?